Hi friends, I hope everybody is doing great. I skipped a week and it feels like a lifetime for me. But I want to start by thanking those of you who watched our Purim video and liked it and shared it. It meant a lot to me. We had so much fun doing it. On Purim it said you have to not only step out of the box, but there's no box at all on Purim. And that's what we try to do. So I ask you please to continue on that trajectory of sharing and liking. You know, in the past I've said, it's really important not just to see the light, but also to be the light. But that also is not enough. You have to share the light. Imagine yourself a candle, and you're self-contained and smothering that nothing gets in. The candle and the flame dies. What we have to do is to share the light. So on these Torah videos, I ask you please, like them, share them. It changes the algorithm of every social media platform. If you can't create content which is relating to Torah, then at least share. Get your part of the mitzvah. It's such a huge thing to do. In fact, it's taught that if there would be a lack of Torah study for one instance, somewhere around the world, that everybody at the same time stopped studying Torah, that the world would revert to chaos. Torah is what keeps this world alive. Why? Because it's the reason God created the world, to give His Torah and to share His Torah. So play your part, please. Maybe my message doesn't resonate with you. You prefer a rabbi or somebody else, and that's all good. But my message might resonate with somebody else. Give it a shot. Share. Do what you got to do. Spread the light. Spread the word. I bless you and I thank you in advance. This week, it's the reading of Parasha Shmini, which means 8. Put that aside right now. Every time we read the weekly parasha, we should know one thing, that it is not ancient history, that the message contained within resonates with our life. So many times, if you will look at the political and the environmental and all types of things that are happening in our world right now, and you compare it to what happens in the parasha, the weekly Torah reading, you will realize and you will understand that there is a connection. The Torah is not an ancient book. It's not a history book. It's a life manual, how to live your life. And God created this world so you can live your life as per the rules that He wrote in the Torah. And boy, it's hard. I know, I didn't grow up religious. And everything about me and my environment fought against keeping the Torah on so many levels, from outfits to food to friends, you name it. That was not my road. That was not my upbringing. Personally, I was very lucky. Hashem gave me a gift in life. What was that gift? The Torah. Something about my sensibilities, my poetic sensibilities, my softness of nature, my philosophical and deep thinking. Maybe God thought that maybe this book is one that Eliza should pick up. People asked me in the past, how did you become religious? You were not brought up that way, for sure not, the people who knew me. And I tell them there was one thing I did grow up doing. I mean, my mother always had respect for Shabbat. Our family had respect for Shabbat, but we didn't keep it. We made the Shabbat prayer, we lit the candles, and then you can watch TV and take the car and do it. But just acknowledge Shabbat is here and then do what you want. That was my upbringing. Another thing in my upbringing was to be charitable and to never turn anybody away who has a hand like this, because my mother has a Yiddish expression. If I say it now, I will butcher it, but it is, today it's by them the problem, but tomorrow it's by you. Don't have a cold heart to somebody else because you think, their problem, not me. They're homeless, they need money, they're divorced, whatever it is. I can't relate to it. It's not me. Know in life that whatever you're presented with, the problems of everybody in your vicinity, Hashem exposed you to that, because one day it could be you, one day it will be you. Whatever Hashem is testing you, whatever you confront in life, whoever you meet in life, all of that is predestined. How you react, that is up to you. The results of how you react, that is up to God. So, the other thing that we always did, other than keeping Shabbat, or at least acknowledging it, having respect for it, was to be charitable, to give to people, not to turn them away. One day I get a knock on my door. I look out the drapery, an old-fashioned word, but that's how we lived when I grew up. Pulled aside the drapery, looking out the window, who's at my front door? Religious men. I know they're not here for any other reason than to collect for whatever school, yeshiva cause that they have. Right away, how I was brought up kicks in. I open the door. How can I help you? Here we have some books. Jewish books, Jewish content. Kabbalah books. Books about words. I'm ready to take their book and throw it in the garbage. In those days, it meant nothing to me. I didn't understand the sanctity. All I knew, somebody who's Jewish or somebody in need is at my door. Please wait a moment, go upstairs, give them whatever I gave them, and who knows what at the time. I was really a kid, maybe 18, maybe 17. Take the book, put it on the counter because it's soon going to go in the garbage, whatever. But somehow it was on the counter. Pick up that book. Well, this is interesting. I like language. I like words. It was the power of the Aleph Bet, the power of the Hebrew language. How every letter is a construct of the world. DNA of who we are. The Aleph Bet is what created the whole world. But I pick up that book that I'm about to toss. And it doesn't end up right away in the garbage. Okay, take a seat on the chair. Read a little more. Wow, this is interesting. I'm getting tired on the chair. Back up in my room, out on my bed, with the book. Page after page after page. I didn't go looking for God. I'll be quite honest. He came looking for me. So, why I don't give up on Torah, if I have a viewer or 10 viewers or 4 viewers or whatever it is, or 72 readers, I don't care. Although the readership actually is much higher. I don't care. God came looking for me for a reason. He knew who I am. I opened those books and I decided that day, that I'm going to start to keep Shabbat. Because the information was fascinating. Nothing comes into our lap in life unless God is directing the path. In Judaism, there's 13 principles of faith. Maimonides, the Ramban, enumerated them for us. He compiled the 13 articles of faith that's mandatory for every Jew to know and to believe in. And the first one is Ani ma'amin be'emunah shlema shehabore yitbarach shemo hu bore umanhig lekol habruim vehu levado asa ve'oseh ve'yaseh lekol hama'asim. God. Keep it short, the whole introduction. God is the conductor and creator of everything that is, and all the things that happen, that happened, that will happen. They're all from Him. If you acknowledge that point, and for me, it's already a mantra. When I get into anything negative, a car accident, bad information, a problem, financial, health, I repeat that whole first article of faith as my mantra to make me understand that nothing happens in our lives except that God signed off on it, and that's what He wanted for us. And each one of us has our own challenge. Each one of us has our own thing that's bringing us down, our own battle. So to look outward and to be jealous, and it's so ridiculous because each one of us has our own thing for us. And our challenge is not to be them. Our challenge is to be us. To take what's ours, all the cards that we're dealt, and elevate ourselves. Which brings me to this week's parasha. Again, Shmini, the 8th. What happens 7 days before. Why is it called the 8th? What happened 7 before that? Well, Moses was given instructions how to build the tabernacle. The tabernacle is the portable Beit HaMikdash. What's the Beit HaMikdash? The 2 temples that stood in Jerusalem. This was the portable one. Like, when you go camping, really to diminish its grandeur in a huge way. But it was the portable one. God gave Moses all the instructions. What needed to be done, how it needed to be built, all the pieces, all the parts. For 7 days, what did Moses do? He didn't build it for 7 days, and the hammer and the screwdriver. He didn't build it for 7 days. The 8th day, now we're the 8th day. Whoa, we're celebrating. For 7 days, each day, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, all the way to 7 and 8, Moses built it and then deconstructed it, assembled it, and then unassembled it. Well, that's a little weird. You build something in life and you take it. You're going this way. What are you, going backwards? It's the worst advice anybody could ever give you. Do? Okay, no, now undo it. Do it again tomorrow and then undo it. It's so counterintuitive. So against logic. So against how we live our lives. You build and you build and you build. You don't build and destroy. On the 8th day, he built it. That was the day that all the production happened, and Aaron's sons went in and they did all the sacrifices. We were building for that moment. But we didn't build this way. We built this way. Like, if you're in the stock market, this is the one thing you don't want to see. Well, especially when it lands here. But it landed here. Why did Moses have to undo the sanctuary every day, the tabernacle every day? Because in our lives, so many of us, really, are so depressed. Everything went wrong for many of us in so many ways. I'll start with the public. We had the coronavirus, which had its impact on economics, which had its impact on our jobs, which had impact on our kids and their mental health and marriages and domestic violence, all the things that COVID brought. It wasn't just a mask and a vaccine. It was so many things related to and surrounding COVID that brought us down. Just when we're about to recover, there is a war in Ukraine. We don't know where this is going to end. Is it World War III? Is it Messianic times? Is the market going to crash? Are they going to hack the financial institutions all over the world? Today you're a millionaire, tomorrow there's no record of it. It's gone. The Russians went in. Bank of America is down. Chase Manhattan is down. Citibank is down. Where is your money? What are you worth? Hard times were behind us. I think anybody with a little bit of instinct for reality knows that hard times are really ahead. So what do we do when we break down? What do we learn from the tabernacle? We learn from Moses himself. When you break down, tomorrow you start again and you rebuild. And tomorrow you have to break down for whatever reason. Self-made breakdown, economic breakdown, emotional breakdown, marriage breakdown, family relationship breakdown, any type of breakdown. What do you do the next day? It's in our DNA as a Jewish people because Moses is Moshe Rabbeinu. He's our teacher. So everything Moses does or did, we have to learn from. Good or for the bad. We have to learn from Moses. So what do we learn? We have to rebuild. There is never rock bottom for a Jew. Jews went through the Holocaust. What happened? Did they leave the earth? Were we gone forever? What happened after the Holocaust? We reclaimed our homeland. That is the nature of a Jew. That's the spirit of the Jew. There is no such thing as rock bottom. It's a trampoline. You hit it and you rise again. The question is, and the problem is, so many of us want to reconstruct ourselves to refashion what we were yesterday. I was gorgeous yesterday. I was such muscular, strong yesterday. I was such this and so great that. I was rich. I was being honored. I was famous. I had clout. I had connections. I'm trying to refashion what I did yesterday. Well, you want to know something? When God breaks us down, because as I said, the first principle of the 13 principles of Jewish faith is to know that everything comes from God. So if God broke you down, well, maybe he didn't like the structure to begin with. Maybe the content was missing. In this week's parasha, it speaks about the kosher laws also. And it points out that there are 4 animals that will confuse you as to whether they are kosher or not. There are 3 that on the outside, right away, they show they're not kosher. So what are the 2 traits? They have to chew their own cud, which means that when they eat, they regurgitate the food and then redigest it. It means they chewed their own cud. They have to have that quality. They also have to have the quality of split hooves. So those 2 qualities are mandatory to be a kosher animal. So there are 3 that right away they show you we're not kosher, we don't have split hooves. But on the inside, they chewed their own cud. So they do have an element, just let's say, of good, of kosher. But then there's the pig, the most hated, or we identified it as the most not kosher thing, because on the outside it shows one thing. It shows it has split hooves. The pig could say, hey, look at me, I have split hooves, I'm kosher. But on the inside, it doesn't have that quality. It doesn't chew its own cud. So basically a pig is a hypocrite. It's the antithesis of what a Jew should be. The outside has to look like this. We feel we have to look this way on the outside. We have to be the person we used to be, the equally gorgeous to what I used to be, and as rich as I used to be, and all those qualities that when we show it to the world, look, my split hooves, I am what I am. But on the inside, there was something wrong. You were not chewing your own cud in a symbolic fashion. You were not what you should be. You were not kosher on the inside. And that's why God broke you down. That's why now the whole world sees that you're not pretty, you're not rich, you're not famous, you're not honored, you're not a lot of things that the perception was here. You knew what was wrong on the inside. It didn't resonate the inside and the outside. And because of that pintaliid, that honesty within us which comes from God himself, we probably tried to correct ourselves because it didn't resonate. We didn't feel we belonged here because we didn't earn it. Not only by hard work in the physical world, but spiritually, we did not belong to be where we are because we are always in a relationship with God, if we're worthy of his kindness and his blessings or not. Another problem with the pig is, though, that though he shows to the world the split hooves and on the inside he's not kosher as per the digestive mechanism, is that we know how to convince ourselves too. What we show the world, we come to convince ourselves. Initially, we know we're lying. Initially, we know we're a little manipulative. Initially, we know we're frauds. But over time, we can't live with that discrepancy between what we should be and who we are. We eat ourselves up on the inside. We bring ourselves down, but we don't want to bring ourselves down. We don't want to look badly upon ourselves. We want to like ourselves. A lot of therapy involved in that goal. But at the end of the day, we know the truth, but we convince ourselves otherwise. And that's where we start to feel sick. Disease, dis-ease. Can't get more simple than that. The point of this week's parasha is, there are many, the ones I want to focus on are, know who you are, what you're showing to the world. Why are you showing it to the world? Why do you feel you have to be that? Why are you so dependent on what people think of you, how they're judging you? Why? There's only one audience that is looking at you really fully, like X-ray vision, which is God. Who are you? What are you doing? Are they one? The reason that our world is falling apart now, we're in the final galut, which is we're the final exile before Mashiach comes. And what's the biggest problem of this exile? Is that we're all a bunch of hypocrites. We are not living on the outside who we are on the inside. The reason the second temple was destroyed is because of hypocrisy. In what form? We're taught by the rabbis that it was sinat chinam, hatred for our brothers, that brought down the second temple. Now there were 3 sins that brought down the first temple, 1 sin that brought down the second temple. What does that tell you? That this 1 sin is at least equal to the 3. They both brought it down. The demolition crew, equal. Those 3 sins knocked down first, 1 sin knocked down the second. And the second sin is hypocrisy, hating our brothers in our hearts. We hate each other, but boy, do we pretend. Put on the nice face because we have a reason, there's an objective, there is a long-term agenda, and we're a bunch of hypocrites. But those are internal sins. Just like the chazir, the pig, is an internal sin, pretends to be one thing, but is really another. God is sick from all this hypocrisy. God will tolerate a lot of sins. Arrogance is one that he won't, and hypocrisy is another. We're killing ourselves. Imagine like just this giant divine Tums. We're eating our own hearts out with acid reflux because of this hypocrisy. Because human nature is a image of God. We are created in the image of God. We know when we are wrong. We're living and breathing by the image of God, the spirit, the high soul. Where we come from is so high. And when we do wrong, it just doesn't go. It doesn't fit, and we feel it, and it shows in our own life. And that's why the whole world is sick. The whole world is sick now. But the problem is we have to ask ourselves, why are we walking around looking like a pig with split hooves? Why are we pretending to be that? We have the chance now to recreate ourselves like Moses created the tabernacle every day, disassembled it and reassembled it. Do you think that from each day Moses was the same person? Do you think that every time he put a pole in a socket, it was the same Moses as the day before? 7 times, 8 times, because the 8th time it actually stood, and that's when they did all the sacrifices. But he was not the same person day 1 or day 7, or why do we need to redo it? As you're rebuilding yourself, you have to change. If Hashem broke you down, something was wrong with the first model. You were the chazir, kosher on the outside, not kosher on the inside. And not that you had a bad intention always. Maybe you just lived a very shallow life. You thought that this was what life was all about. The Mercedes and the financial accounts and the 5 homes and the showing off of which schools your kids went to. That was what you had to project to the world. You didn't mean bad. You didn't mean to be a hypocrite. You worked hard and you built all that and you're proud of it. But Hashem saw more in you. He saw deeper in you. The one who had to drive the Lexus and the Mercedes and whatever fancy cars, the Jaguars, I don't know, whatever it is, whatever you had to drive, Hashem saw something deeper in you. Not that you can't drive that car, but are you that car? Is that car you without it? What are you? Who are you? You have to come to terms with who you are in order to rebuild who you are. Otherwise, your house will never stand. Then you're a house of cards, and you're gone. My article this week was about not being able to connect to the internet. You see a link, you want to click, but it doesn't go. It doesn't open up. So what's life all about if it doesn't open up? It's so beautiful. Well, why don't things open up? Because you're not connected properly to the URL link. Beautiful ad, beautiful everything. Click my website. Click. It doesn't. So what's it all worth? The link between where you want to be, what you want to get to, and to where you are, that link between is called God. You have to take God with you in all your journeys because He is the journey. His Torah is the journey. You think that self-help gurus and psychologists and financial planners and marriage counselors and you name it, you think those are your salvations? 90% of the problems we have in life, unless it's really a genetic something, will disappear when you understand that God is the reason you have this problem. He wants you to get through it with integrity. He wants you to find yourself and to build yourself. Hashem doesn't destroy to pulverize you that you should be lost to oblivion. Hashem wants to break you down so you can restructure yourself to be all that you were meant to be. He kicked you, in quotation marks. Ask why. I've been kicked, I've been punched, I've been beaten down. Honestly, I feel like I've been in a boxing ring for a long time. And there were moments I cried, and there were moments I asked why, and none of those moments helped me. What helped me is, Hashem, you sent this to me. I'll put a smile on my face. I'll sing out of tune, torture everybody in listening vicinity, and I'm going to keep going. And I say that not to brag, but to tell you it can be done. It can be done because I did suffer. I've been going through such a hard time. Nobody could know, right? I can aggravate you that I'm always happy. And I suffered and I keep going. We know from the prophets in the Torah that Hashem does not bring prophecy to a Navi. A prophet cannot have prophecy if he's down and out, if he's miserable. Hashem will not visit there. You will not get your answers, your redirection, your wisdom, nothing. He will not visit. Who wants to go there? How many of us are so reluctant to go to a house of mourning where you don't want to go to the funeral, you don't know what to say, you feel uncomfortable? Okay, that's just us and our own limited capacity. Hashem too, because everything that happens in the real world is a reflection of what's going on in the spiritual world, in the physical world. Hashem doesn't want to visit somebody who's miserable. Put a smile on your face and thank God with the same enthusiasm. And it's hard. I'm not telling you it's easy, but it's what you must do to survive the difficult times. Put a smile on your face for the bad times as you do for the good times. Hashem, I'm so sorry that all this happened. I would have liked to have been still rich and still pretty and still healthy and still everything, but it's all coming from you. Go through your mourning period. I'm not telling you when somebody dies, you have to go through a healthy mourning period. We learned in the Torah that even when Moses died, there was a set time and then the mourning was over. No matter what's lost from your life, a physical, a person, anything, there is a time for mourning, and be done with it and move on. Move on. Take this challenge not as something that's going to destroy you, but rebuild your tabernacle every day. Rebuild a house wherein you can worship God. Because what is the tabernacle? It's the place wherein God interfaces with the world. Break it down. God interfaces with us, right? He breaks it down. Rebuild it. Well, maybe not in yesterday's fashion, in today's fashion. Know who you are, build who you are, build beyond who you are. When God made man, he made us in the image of God. That is the model. That's the thing you have to look to when you're reconstructing yourself. Be like God, emulate God in all your ways. Like I said, you can go to the therapist and the doctor and the counselors and this and every other palliative for all of our heartaches and our fears and all the destruction in our life. And those things are just band-aids upon wounds that need to be corrected in a very different way. You cannot put a band-aid on cancer. You have to cut out the cancer, and you have to understand that God is talking to you. Redirect your life. Take it into your own hands. Do it with a smile. Don't blame the world. Yesterday is not coming back. Yesterday is a lesson. It's not coming back. How smart we are, and yet foolish at the same time to think that we can create and recreate yesterday. It is gone. The moment is gone. The moment you have is now. Build it in service of Hashem, and when you do that, you will find the wind beneath your wings. You will find all the inspiration, the strength, and it will keep you going. There is no thing bad that happens to us in Hashem's plan. It's just Hashem's plan, and Hashem only does good. So, don't give up. Rebuild that sanctuary. Rebuild it with integrity and with joy and look up to Hashem and thank Him for giving you a second chance to be the you that you were meant to be. Shabbat Shalom.